Celebrate the season with low financing and lease offers from Acura.
Cirque du Soleil captivates with a timeless celebration. Corteo from Cirque du Soleil, now playing at Bicentennial Park. For tickets, visit CirqueDuSoleil.com.
Monday, a small town, a big company, a frightening medical mystery. Why are so many people in one place getting deathly ill? Monday on the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric. Later, right after CBS 4 News, so stay with us.
That's our news for now. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great evening.
And remember, we're always on at CBS4.com. Now here's the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric. We'll see you at 11.
Tonight, an industry in crisis. GM announces it's closing plants and cutting production, even as the president says he's now ready to help to keep the big three from going under. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, it's a cold, dark night in the Northeast after an ice storm knocks out power for more than 1 million homes and businesses. It could be one of the biggest Wall Street frauds ever. A broker accused of swindling investors out of $50 billion. And Steve Hartman as you've never seen him before, immortalized in Legos.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. Next stop, the White House for the beleaguered American auto industry. A plan to bail the car makers out didn't even make it to a full vote in the Senate, and so the president has stepped in, offering to help. Adding to the pressure, GM's announcement today that it will temporarily close 20 factories and cut production in the first quarter of next year by 250,000 vehicles because demand is way down. Cheryl Atkinson begins our coverage tonight.
With the last chance for an immediate bailout from Congress gone, the mayor of Lansing, Michigan, woke up this morning exasperated.
For God's sakes, I hope the president acts.
And that's what President Bush promised. On the way to an appearance in Texas, the administration issued a statement from Air Force One to head off a stock market plunge, saying help is on the way because a precipitous collapse of the auto industry would have a severe impact on our economy. Exactly what the government will do isn't clear. Up until today, the White House had insisted it would not use the giant Wall Street bailout fund for the auto industry. Now it seems the most likely source of help. As it happens, there's currently about $15 billion left uncommitted in that so-called TARP fund, almost exactly what the car companies need to get to the new year. Last night, after countless hours of negotiations between Democrats, Republicans, and the United Auto Workers Union, the Senate Majority Leader had to concede.
It's over with.
Republican Bob Corker tried to broker last night's Senate deal to force the automakers into bankruptcy-like reorganization without the stigma of bankruptcy.
We are so close.
The final sticking point, a few words that would have interfered mightily with the union's auto contracts, rarely seen in public and so full of terms they weigh 22 pounds. The union would have had to, quote, become competitive with Toyota and Honda on wages and benefits.
We have been working hard forever. It's just easy to take the union and blame us for everything.
Corker says without the union signing off on last night's bill, it didn't have a chance.
The fact of the matter is, the only way a bill was going to pass out of the Senate and the House on the Democratic side was for the UAW to say, we released you to vote for this. I mean, I hate to be so blunt, but that's politics, okay?
It's worth noting that a number of Southern senators opposed to the bailout happen to have foreign automakers in their home states. BMW in South Carolina, Honda and Mercedes-Benz in Alabama, to name just a few. So voting against the bailout helps them protect their constituents. Katie?
Cheryl Atkinson on Capitol Hill tonight. Thank you. Ron Gettelfinger rose from chassis line repairman at a Ford plant in Louisville to become president of the United Automobile Workers Union, representing more than 1 million members. The perception, Mr. Gettelfinger, is that this bailout fell apart because your union would rather see the auto companies go under than take a pay cut. True or false?
That's totally false, Katie. And incidentally, this was an emergency bridge loan that would get us through this economic downturn that our entire nation finds itself in.
Having said that, UAW members average 42 paid days off a year, including 5 weeks of vacation and 17 holidays. Do you think, Mr. Gettelfinger, this may seem excessive in light of current economic conditions and the condition of the U.S. auto industry right now?
Well, you know, I would like to compare that maybe to the Congress of the United States, but I won't do that. What I will say to you is this. We have made it unequivocally clear that as long as all stakeholders are willing to come back to the bargaining table, we're willing to be there. We're willing to do more.
You're insisting, really, that labor has been asked to sacrifice too much and more than anyone else?
I want to be clear. Labor has made a tremendous amount of sacrifice in the past. Are we willing to do more? Yes, we will. But I don't even know what that means until we get the right people at the table.
You support intervention from the White House and the Treasury Department to stave off bankruptcy. Why do you think that's so important?
Customers will not buy an automobile from a bankrupt company. When one of these companies goes into Chapter 11, they're going to go from there to Chapter 7, and they're going to dissolve. The company will no longer exist.
And you think that that will lead to the demise of the other big three automakers?
I think for sure it would take two of them down. There's no question in my mind that if General Motors and or Chrysler goes into bankruptcy, it's all over for those two companies.
Ron Gettelfinger, president of the UAW, thanks so much.
Thank you, Katie.
And if any or all of the big three were to go under, the impact would be felt well beyond the UAW members to a lot of non-union workers all across the country, beginning with the men and women who make the parts to build the cars. Here's Cynthia Bowers.
At this plant in Plymouth, Michigan, that makes everything from bolts to cup holders for the big three, multi-million-dollar machines sit idle, barely a worker in sight.
This facility used to run 24/7. Now we are shut down.
For 4 generations, Wes Smith's family has been one of the biggest employers in this Detroit suburb. He once had 550 employees. Now there are 305 and dropping.
I've got dozens of people with over 20 years seniority here at our facility. I mean, I know these people, I know their families. We have picnics, Christmas parties. It's very difficult.
He says most Americans may not realize it is non-union shops like his that make most of what actually goes into a car. About 70% of the 15,000 or so nuts and bolts and seats and electronics are made not by the big three, but by outside suppliers. They're wondering how long they can hold on.
I have people approach me every day on a daily basis that tell me, how long am I going to be here? Or are we working next week?
People here worry Americans may not be seeing the big picture, that as go the big three, so go 3,000 auto supply companies who provide nearly 700,000 jobs that prop up countless other businesses around the country.
The most noticeable impact has been the speed of decay.
Peter Dodd's company tests cars and car parts. He's caught in the middle between automakers who can't pay their bills and suppliers who have fewer orders to fill. 600 customers, all anxious about the future.
The ship is sinking. Now is not the time to figure out why it's sinking. Now is the time to launch the lifeboats.
Because there is a lot more riding on the auto industry than just the car makers. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Plymouth, Michigan.
From Michigan to Illinois and its embattled governor, so far Rod Blagojevich is showing no signs of stepping down, so the state attorney general said today she'll try to push him out. And while Blagojevich is keeping a low profile right now, Dean Reynolds reports he may have found religion.
The governor of Illinois welcomed a line of local ministers to his home this morning for some spiritual guidance.
We just came to offer prayer for the family.
Then he headed off to work under now routine media surveillance. His next move, anyone's guess, though out the door seemed a likely direction.
I think the people of the state would be best served if Governor Blagojevich would resign immediately.
The state's attorney general today asked the Illinois Supreme Court to take his powers away.
State government is paralyzed by a governor who is incapable of governing.
Whether by judicial removal, impeachment, or resignation, his departure might ease the discomfort of some local politicians, from the president-elect on down, who work the same Chicago circles and whose brushes with Blagojevich are getting almost microscopic scrutiny now. Of those mentioned or alluded to in the criminal complaint involving the governor's alleged pay-to-play scheme to fill Obama's vacant Senate seat, none is being targeted by prosecutors so far. Barack Obama has asked his aides to list their contacts with Blagojevich, and while it would be no surprise to see that someone on Obama's staff at least talked about the issue with the governor, there's been no suggestion of impropriety by anyone on the Obama team, a point driven home last night by top aide David Axelrod.
No one in their wildest imagination could have imagined the scenario.
Today, the governor's chief of staff, a man accused of wrongdoing with Blagojevich, resigned. And it's a safe bet that for most people around here, they'd like to see his boss do the same. Katie?
Dean Reynolds in Chicago. Dean, thanks very much. Bob Schieffer is our chief Washington correspondent and anchor of Face the Nation. Bob, let's start with Governor Blagojevich. As we just heard, the Illinois Attorney General wants him to resign. How long can he realistically stay put?
I think he's history, frankly, Katie, and for this simple political reason. It is in no one's interest, except perhaps the governor himself, for him to stay in office. And when a politician finds himself in that situation, they usually move him on. So I think he'll be gone pretty quick here.
And it's almost, meanwhile, turning to Washington, Bob, impossible to figure out just what happened to this auto bailout in the Senate. There's all this finger pointing going on. What is your take? Can you explain it to us in simple terms?
I think, frankly, what happened, Katie, is that this is overwhelmingly unpopular, bailing out these auto companies with the public in general, and every poll suggests that. These leaders of the auto industry came to town first in their jet planes, and now you find that the members of the union are not willing to consider a pay cut for the next 2 years. It was a very easy vote for Republicans to vote to block this thing. They were just doing what their constituents across the country kind of wanted them to do. That may not be the right thing, but I think in the end, that's really what did them in.
All right, Bob Schieffer. Bob, thanks a lot. And talk about being on point. Bob will be focusing on both of these stories this Sunday on Face the Nation when his guests are Republican Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee and Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan. Still ahead here on the CBS Evening News, he was a Wall Street guru, a hero to investors. Now he's accused of masterminding one of the biggest stock frauds ever. But up next, an ice storm leaves many in the Northeast in the cold and dark, and it could be days before the power returns.
Serious sore throat sufferers know there's nothing worse than a sore throat with a bad cough. Only new Cepacol Sore Throat Plus Cough Spray has the power to stop both fast.
Thank you.
Only Cepacol stops both fast.
This fiber, I'd had my fill. Then I found Miralax. Miralax relieves constipation with no bloating, no excess gas, no taste, no grit. You'll see, it's clearly different.
Restore your body's natural rhythm with Miralax.
I always thought calcium and vitamin D and exercise would keep my bones healthy. But I got osteoporosis anyway, so my doctor started me on once monthly Boniva. And he told me something important. Boniva works with your body to help stop and reverse bone loss. My test results proved I was able to stop and reverse my bone loss with Boniva. And studies show after 1 year on Boniva, 9 out of 10 women did too.
Don't take Boniva if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or can't sit or stand for at least 1 hour. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Boniva and tell your doctor if you have difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. If severe bone, joint, and or muscle pain develops, tell your doctor.
I've got this one body and this one life, so I wanted to stop my bone loss. But I did more than that. I reversed it with Boniva. Ask your doctor if Boniva is right for you.
Boniva helps stop and reverse bone loss.
The James Beard Foundation Rising Star Chef of the Year, Christopher Lee, on the art of cooking.
Use stock.
And when I'm cooking at home, that means new Swanson stock. It keeps the meat juicy and brings out the natural flavors.
So if you want to cook like Chef Christopher Lee, cook with new Swanson stock.
And don't forget, for that perfect holiday turkey, use new Swanson stock.
Today I found out that my funny bone is sick and that my drug plan's monthly premium changed. So I compared other plans and found similar coverage at a better price.
Now's the time to review and compare Medicare prescription drug plans. And from November 15th to December 31st, you can even change your plan. Call 1-800-MEDICARE or go to Medicare.gov and use the Plan Finder to see options in your state.
Your funny bone is better now. And so is my prescription drug plan.
It is not even officially winter yet, and already parts of the nation are covered in ice and snow. An ice storm sweeping across 7 states from Pennsylvania to Maine knocked out power to nearly 1.25 million homes and businesses. And as Kelly Wallace reports, it will be a cold, dark weekend for many of them.
A winter wonderland turned into a winter workout for residents in western Massachusetts, with tree limbs collapsing from the thick layering of ice.
Yeah, I've never seen it this bad before. We've had windstorms, ice storms, everything. Nothing like this. This is the worst I've ever seen it.
Downed trees collided into utility lines, knocking out power to almost 300,000 homes in Massachusetts alone. People in those homes were urged to stay with family or friends or go to one of the 40 emergency shelters which have been opened so far.
Monday is the earliest we think there will be power restored, period. This is not about a couple of hours.
In upstate New York, about 3/4 of an inch of ice blanketed trees, which is more than the amount of snow they've had so far this year.
Boy, the weight is just amazing, how much weight this ice puts on a tree.
In Saco, Maine, south of Portland, you can say misery loved company. After several trucks became sandwiched between 2 downed trees, a local resident welcomed the stranded drivers to her house for some goulash. One bright spot for what will be a dark night and weekend throughout parts of northern New England.
The massive storm stretched all the way down the East Coast to here in New York, where luckily for us, it was warm enough to be rain only. Our neighbors to the north will be dealing with the effects of this huge storm through early next week. At least 1,600 crews, Katie, are hard at work tonight.
All right, Kelly Wallace here in New York City. Kelly, thank you. As we mentioned earlier, President Bush escaped chilly Washington, D.C. today for a quick trip to his home state. In his last commencement address as president at Texas A&M, he got emotional when he talked about his father.
Some of you will leave A&M with a degree that carries this good man's name, George Bush. I have been blessed and honored to have carried it for 62 years.
In his address, the president said his time in office has been a tremendous privilege. He'll return to Texas as a private citizen in 39 days. When we come back, a Wall Street legend told clients their investments were rock solid. The government says it was a $50 billion lie.
Tired of morning coming in the middle of the night? Ask your prescriber about 2-layer Ambien CR. The first layer dissolves quickly to help you fall asleep, and unlike other sleep aids, a second dissolves slowly to help you stay asleep. Until you know how Ambien CR will affect you, you shouldn't drive or operate machinery. Plan to devote 7 to 8 hours to sleep before being active. Sleepwalking and eating or driving while not fully awake with amnesia for the event have been reported. In rare cases, severe allergic reactions can occur. If you experience any of these behaviors or reactions, contact your doctor immediately. Side effects may include next-day drowsiness, dizziness, and headache. It's non-narcotic and can be taken for as long as your prescriber recommends. Like most sleep aids, it has some risk of dependency. Don't take it with alcohol. To wake up ready for your day, ask your prescriber for 2-layer Ambien CR.
So Jenny and I were talking, and we just had some questions. Of course, you're retiring in this environment. I have some ideas about your portfolio that may help answer them. Let's take a look. Sounds good.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors. Over 10,000 offices, one near you.
I'm Mark Goldston, Chairman and CEO of NetZero. All internet providers take you to the same internet, so why pay more to get there? NetZero is only $9.95 a month, and we give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-NET-ZERO or visit netzero.com.
No interest. Get any new 2008 or 2009 Altima, Sentra, Murano, Rogue, and Versa, or 08 Titan and Armada. And qualified buyers can get financing interest-free. Son of Nissan 10500 Northwest 12th Street, just across from the Miami International Mall.
CBS 4's South Florida Ford Sports Zone is going live from Cocoa Walk this Saturday, sponsored by Hooters. Be a part of our live audience with CBS 4's Prim Suripapat this Saturday at 7 on South Florida Ford Sports Zone. Live from Cocoa Walk in Coconut Grove, sponsored by Hooters.
Huge year-end savings this week at Rick Case.
During our year-end sale, Rick Case Honda says yes to final clearance prices on gifts that go. New Honda Cruisers from $33.99. The all-new 09 Rancher AT on sale now. New ATVs from $24.99. New dirt bikes from only $9.99. Plus, Rick Case says yes to easy financing through Honda with 0 down, 0% and 0 payments. Don't pay a dime till summertime. We'll say yes during the year-end clearance sale this week at Rick Case Honda, I-75 at Griffin.
Wall Street is no stranger to scandal, of course, but this could be one for the record books. Investors thought Bernard Madoff was earning big money for them, but the government said he made off with billions he stole from them. Our chief investigative correspondent, Armin Katayan, has the story.
A financial titan and former head of NASDAQ, Bernard Madoff is alleged to have lost upwards of $50 billion in investor funds. That was before senior employees, believed to include his own sons, turned him into authorities. From exclusive Palm Beach country clubs to the Tony Upper East Side of Manhattan, victims of the fraud, many who had invested millions, are reeling.
These are people who are wealthy individuals who are now looking at utter devastation.
According to the criminal complaint, the monumental fraud centered around a secretive, high-end investment advisory business, separate from Madoff's multi-billion-dollar trading operation, a business overseen by Madoff. The FBI alleges Madoff recently confessed to high-level employees he had been running basically a giant Ponzi scheme for years, a reference to the infamous Italian swindler Carlo Ponzi, whereby one set of investors are paid sometimes unreal returns out of money received from another. When two agents went to Madoff's apartment on Thursday, he reportedly told them there was no innocent explanation for his actions and that he expects to go to jail.
I think many people were seduced.
Hedge fund advisor Jim Voss considered investing his clients' money with Madoff, but didn't like what he saw.
We looked at the returns and said they're simply too good to be true.
The 70-year-old Madoff has been released after posting a $10 million bond. Today, his attorney told CBS News Madoff is cooperating into what he called an unfortunate set of events, a set of events that is only beginning to play out. Armin Katayan, CBS News, New York.
In other news, he was a Hollywood boy next door. Actor Van Johnson's career spanned 50 years in movies, theater, and television. He led the mutiny against Humphrey Bogart in the Caine Mutiny and played the minstrel on TV's Batman series. Van Johnson died today. He was 92.
Monday, a small town, a big company, a frightening medical mystery. Why are so many people in one place getting deathly ill? Monday on the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Where on earth could we ever find enough oil and natural gas to power more than 60 million cars and heat 160 million households for 60 years? Right here in America. Log on to learn more.
I learned a lot when I found out I had high cholesterol, but I didn't know that it may have led to my erectile dysfunction. That's why my doctor told me about Levitra.
Certain medical conditions, including high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol, can decrease blood flow, which may lead to ED.
That was news to me. My doctor told me Levitra could help.
Levitra works by increasing blood flow to help treat ED.
Levitra works for me. Maybe it can work for you.
Ask your doctor if you are healthy enough for sexual activity. If you have heart problems, are on alpha blocker therapy, or have uncontrolled high blood pressure, talk to your doctor before taking Levitra. Do not take Levitra if you take nitrates for chest pains, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects may include headache, flushing, and stuffy or runny nose. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience an erection lasting longer than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss of vision or hearing, stop taking Levitra and call your doctor right away. Ask your doctor if Levitra is right for you.
The answer's 12, Mom. Mom?
When your sinuses are blocked with pressure and congestion, everything seems harder. Rush.
Rush.
Everything seems harder when your sinuses are blocked. Nothing works faster on nasal congestion than the medicine in new Sudafed OM nasal spray. Sudafed OM. Unblock your head.
Meet Erica. Grand Poobah of pasta. Chancellor of cheese. Connoisseur of cold. She keeps her ingredients in Glad bags. They're designed to grip with tall tabs and lots of ridges.
Amazing.
So it's easy for her to help keep food fresh and handy.
Easy.
Go easy. Get Glad.
Do you own an oil company? Well, if you have mutual funds or a pension or other investments, chances are you do. Learn more. Visit energytomorrow.org.
The mortgage mess helped to crash America's economy, and now there's a second wave coming. What is it? Find out on 60 Minutes, Sunday.
Well, how many times have you heard this story? A man has a promising career as an attorney, then throws it all away to devote his life to Legos. All right, then this will be the first time. Here's Steve Hartman with tonight's Assignment America.
You want to do this one? It's the old toy that never seems to get old. Okay, do you want to carry it? I ask kids, what is it about Lego?
Legos, you can build different things with them.
And then take them apart and build them again over and over and over.
I can make anything I can think of out of it.
Okay. Nathan Sawaya is 35, going on 10, and the envy of his peers.
I get to play with Lego all day.
Although play may not be the operative word.
What I've done is try to take Lego to a place it's never been before, and that's into the fine art world.
Everything you see is Lego, just regular old square Lego pieces, transformed into art pieces that are now making their way into top museums across the country. It's a talent Nathan started honing on his living room floor. Growing up in Western Oregon, this boy got into Lego like few kids ever have.
When I was 8 years old, I wanted a dog.
But whereas most kids would actually get a dog, that was just a pet project.
What are you going to do?
Nathan built a 36-square-foot Lego city and played with it through high school.
Then I went away to college.
And you forgot about it?
No. I packed up little parts of it and brought it to college with me.
Wow. Took it to law school, too.
This was the first time I ever tried to do a sphere.
In fact, Nathan was working as a corporate attorney when he built this sphere. It changed his life.
Just like a real ball.
That was a watershed moment.
It really was. Scary but true.
Nathan reasoned if he could make a sphere out of nothing but squares and rectangles, he could make other things. Lego was no longer limiting. His mind exploded with ideas.
And soon I was getting commissioned to do pieces.
Enough pieces to quit the law firm.
My bosses were confused and my colleagues were jealous.
Today, Nathan says he can make anything out of Lego. Literally anything. Or for that matter, anyone. Either in two-dimension, like this handsome piece, or if you're willing to spend the bucks, he can make you a life-size, three-dimensional Lego likeness. We weren't willing to spend the bucks, but if you are, you can buy it out of this year's Neiman Marcus holiday catalog. Just be sure and look at the price before you give him your credit card number. Nathan won't say exactly how much he's making now, except to say it's more than he made as a lawyer, and that no matter what he makes, he's definitely found his calling.
I see the world in little squares. I see the world in little rectangles.
Eventually, Nathan would like to try really building something with Lego. I'm talking like a house people could live in, but so far, no takers.
I think he is so talented.
He's very
and
talented.
I think the portrait he did of you was excellent.
You know where I was thinking that could go? Above your couch in your house. That'd be nice there.
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah,
it would.
It'd be really nice.
Tell us about next week.
She's not going to do it.
No, maybe.
It's a miracle on 34th Street, coming soon to a street near you. Meet the secret Santa who's making people believe again by spreading goodwill and big bills all across this land. That story coming up next Friday night.
Good timing for that, of course. All right, Steve, have a good weekend.
You too.
Thanks. And that is the CBS Evening News for tonight. I'm Katie Couric in New York. Thank you for watching this week. I'll see you on Monday. Until then, you have a great weekend, too. Good night.
CBS News is very good news.
It's always a party at Mardi Gras.
The 2008 Hess truck. Bright lights, big sound, a real hydraulic lift, plus a motorized front loader with working bucket. Only $22.99 at Hess stations. Energizer batteries included. Happy holidays from Hess.
Jennifer on her new GQ photo shoot. Is boyfriend John jealous? New details on Kate's divorce. Tom Cruise singing and former teen idols having a meltdown. New TNHD is next.
It's always a party at Mardi Gras.
Entertainment Tonight and The Insider in high definition.
Jennifer on her totally nude photo shoot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow. Is boyfriend John jealous?
That's terrible boyfriend support.
Jennifer and John arriving separately and talking about each other at the premiere of Marley and Me.
He's touching. What can I say?
Plus, Grey's news. Is TR Knight really leaving?
I was with him yesterday working.
New details on Kate Walsh's surprise divorce as we look back at the day she said I do.
Are you over your wedding joy and bliss yet? Well, we're just 2 weeks in. We're happy as clams.
The newlyweds' first steps down the aisle, her Grey's Anatomy guests.
Beautiful.
Plus, the latest on what may have gone wrong.
Tom Cruise channels Elvis in tonight's Real or Rumor. Plus, Dancing's Julianne playing Santa in New York. And is Hugh Jackman hosting the Oscars?
Inside of Beverly Hills Mom's plastic surgery.
We're getting ready to start the whole mommy makeover.
And confessions of a teen idol.
The guy in the lagoon is building lagoons.
The Blue Lagoon's Christopher Atkins, Baywatch star David Chokachi, Fame's Billy Huffsey.
I got no heart, no soul.
7 former heartthrobs in the same house, desperate to find fame again.
What am I gonna do?
Now, the most watched entertainment news magazine in the world.
Your hour of entertainment news with ET and the Insider in high definition begins right now. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Steiner.
And for Mary Hart, I'm Thea Andrews. Jennifer Aniston's red carpet blush, embarrassed by the naked GQ photos at the premiere of Marley and Me, and why John Mayer told me he's a terrible boyfriend. Some of the